Sarah met in, we think about 1913, in Dwellingup, were married in 1915, and as the book will tell you, the two of their first children, Jack and Mary, were born there. Then they moved to Bunbury, where another, that was, I don't know, it's about 1918, and four more of the children were born there. That was Mick and Jim and Julie, Pat rather, no, Julie and Pat. So they worked there for a while. Then he got this job at Manjimup as a forester. It was only a very small one-man operation. Very much with wonderful parents. They were absolutely tremendously wonderful parents. They also instilled in us a great family unity, and I think the fact that so many of you younger people, the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren are here tonight is indicative that that family unity still exists, and please God it will to the rest of your days.
The great Michael James. But we all know that behind every good man there's a great woman. And I might say too, that is evident in Michael and my dad and my mum's sons. It's the great women behind their sons that have made them what they are. And that clap. By the time Tom came, Mum and Dad had 7 little Australians, and the eldest wasn't 10 years old. And I think, however, we have wonderful memories of our childhood. It was a loving, caring and warm atmosphere, and I can truthfully say that I never once heard a cross word from my mother and father. Now maybe they had a little fight behind the scenes, but we never heard any bickering whatever. And of course it was hard for us to understand that other people had parents that fought. The eldest son was sent away to school when he came into high school. Then the Depression came and Mick and Jim couldn't go, there was no money. Mary of course was needed in the house. And I was threatened with boarding schools, but I used to thank God we were too poor at that time and I couldn't go. And then Pat and Tom went away. Now in 1939, like Mum was always sick, you know, until Mary took over the responsibility of the house. She must have taken over when she was a little kid with the rest of us. But she took over the responsibility of doing the house. And now in 1939, Dad took Mum up to a specialist in Perth. Now I have here, that's the only thing that I can tell you of her actual words. It's just a letter she wrote to Mary. And it's a normal letter, it wasn't written for anything, but I thought you just might have get a bit of an inkling of it. And I'll read it to you verbatim. She goes, Central Hotel, as long as it lasts, Saturday. On the opposite the address is, we landed here at 9:30 last night. Dad made a dive for the first fish and chip shop. I was satisfied with tea and toast. Dear Mary, at present I'm sitting in the lounge at the Central Hotel waiting for the dinner bell to go. Outside there is nothing but activity. I've been leaning over the balcony with my mouth open, watching the traffic, waiting for an accident, but nothing happened. Plenty of thrills. Bits of kids on bikes flying around Forest Place. This is 40 years ago, 60 years ago, flying around the Forest Place corner, missing cars, trucks by inches. Now and again you see a broken down trotter in a delivery cart. I pictured Jim if he were here. I forgot to tell you, Dad was on the front veranda first thing this morning. Plenty of people about, but no one to talk to. I took him shopping this morning, and believe me, he is worse than Jules. Won't stop and look in a shop window. I think that's all you get for nothing down here. I went to Worth and got Jack's pullover, XOS. If it's too big, they will change it. I got a short waterproof and 2 pairs of legs, one for Jim. Jack told me to send them COD. I think they'll go by rail. If Jack does not come to light, you pay for them, Mary. Now, about Mrs. Watson's shopping. I thought Foy's would be the best place, and their plain Wincy looked rubbish in the piece, so I got a good one at 1 6 a yard. The man told me it was the best for baby gowns, and I thought he ought to know. When I came back, I thought I'd try Bones, and their 1 shilling a yard looked nice. I could not resist getting it, as I thought Mrs. Watson might think the other two good. So I'm sending both, and let her take her pick. I'll keep the others. I have some patching to do. I know we could do better at Shad's, and that's another go at me because I was working at Shad's. Well, dear Mary, I don't think there is any more to say at present. The weather is very mild, not a bit cold. I'm wondering what it is like down there. I'll have to start looking up old friends tomorrow. I hope you're getting on all right at home and the boys are looking after you, in brackets. I mean your brothers. I'm trying to get this carried by Mr. Young or Mr. May. Love from Dad himself, Mother. In the margin she wrote, I hope someone thinks of all the little jobs. Wind the clock, put the cat out and dog, and see that everything is covered. So I can see from that she had a lot of care for her family and also that she had a great sense of humour. And that was in 1939, and Pat and Tom would have been away at school. And then in the February, Tom had just left for school, and Mum was always sort of sick. We didn't take much notice because we were sort of used to it. And about a week after Tom left, she became very weak, and it was a weekend, and we were going to get the doctor, and he said he'd come Monday. And he came. We all went to work. He came on the Monday, and by the time he got home for dinner, she was down in hospital. And that would be the first time, despite the fact that our mother wasn't well, that she'd been in hospital or away from us. And then by tea time, we knew she'd had surgery. Surgery was only supposed to take 15 minutes, and of course she wouldn't have it until they found Dad, and then she didn't survive the surgery that morning. Of course, then the bottom fell out of our world, and that was 1940. Then Jack went off to the war in 1940, then followed by Mick and Jim and myself, and Manjimup was never the same after that.
My dad, as Tom previously mentioned, had cut off his toes on his right foot, sleeper cutting. Now, all he did was put wet paper into the boot and put his toe in, and as far as I know, that's all he had. Now, us boys used to play football in front of the house, and Dad used to kick what we'll call towies. They'd go up in the air and they'd spin round and round, and we had to rush and get the ball and bring it back to him. And he'd kick it again, and that was our bit of fun, Dad kicking these towies. That's one story. I just took a few notes. Another story, we all went through the same experience. Dad used to sit on the veranda in the evening, and the train would whistle coming into Manjimup, and he would say, paper, and I'm being the eldest, and I had the first job to do. You would take off into the town, which is about 2 miles away, barefooted, rush in all the way, pick up the paper, and if you didn't get back before the train went past the cemetery, he'd just say, what held you up? So we always did try and beat him.
Old Dinny, now you appreciate that the Depression years and things were tough. My brother Mick and I shared an old iron bed out in the veranda. No, there was no covering in those days, friends. It was all corrugated iron. But Dad, in his ingenuity, got a bit of tarpaulin and spread it on that. And I don't know how many people have weathered a winter out in those cold south down here. It was shocking. But we had an Irish Terrier dog, Dinny was his name. Now, Dinny was a rough-haired Irish Terrier. Before telling you about what happened this particular time, over the period of months, Dinny was a typical Irish dog, and like his forebears, He liked nothing better than a fight. He was a good scrapper. One little incident I recall, Arthur May, he will verify this. He used to keep company with a woman that lived over the road from us at Seaton Villa. He took Windmuir to a dance or somewhere and he took her home. No taxis, no cars, brothers, in those days. All youngsters boating. So he went home there and I suppose he said his fond farewell. And Denny objected to this. He had no right to there. So Denny put him up a bloody pine tree. And he spent the next 3 hours there. But getting back to Denny, Denny was a very hot-blooded dog. Denny was a very hot-blooded dog, and Mick and I used to share this bed, and we used to secrete Denny in there, and he was a very warm-blooded dog, as I told you. There was no electric blankets.
I knew he was going to be a pilot because we had one bike among the whole lot of us, and he was double-deaking me into Manjimup, and going down Kitley's Hill was quite a steep hill, and I'm on the handlebars and Pat's riding the bike, and he's swishing from one end of the side to the other one, screaming my head off, and here he is going down that way. That's what I want to just say about Patrick. So when he was about 7 or 8, he was well and truly into flying. Yes, I have just found out, really, that I was a spy during the war. I won the war for you. That's all I've got to say. I get a bit mad when I talk about that because somebody went over to Scotland and all he did was find the most wonderful woman in the world, but that's all he did.
I was going to get to that because Dad told me that the war was won from Thornhill, Scotland, and he told me that the only angry man you ever saw was my mother's father. Tell us briefly, Dad, what you're doing in Scotland.
Well, I'm one of the lucky ones that we left here in May 1940 to go to France. And luckily, France collapsed while we were in the water, and we went to England. From Northumberland, we were cutting timber. We built a timber mill there. It was the first time most of it had ever seen snow, and they had to work in snow, cut the trees down 3 inches from the ground, near the snow, and that's the way they did it in the winter. Then we moved to Scotland, and that's where I met Jean. Just by chance, we were at a dance, and I was doing the old J. Gordons, and I dropped on the floor. So I had to go back and pick her up, and I said to her, any damage to I done my stockings? So I had a terrible job trying to find a pair of stockings. Eventually I found a pair of stockings, and the pleasure of going and handing to her. From then on, we became friends, then we became sweethearts, and after, 1943 we were married, so we've been together ever since, and she did a marvellous job of sticking up with me.
Just going to break a bit, I don't know if Brad, if you can manage this, but only Joan, Uncle Mick was in the war and you got called on a moment ago. Can you tell us a little bit what Uncle Mick's, where he was during the war? Can you...
I'd know more about it because he was in the same company, weren't you, Jim? You can't hear me.
Yeah, I like your last bit.
Yeah. Well, he would know more about what Jim would do because he was in the same company as me.
All right, well, Uncle Jim, do you know where did Uncle Mick serve?
Mick finished up in Borneo. That's about the conclusion of the war. Mick, I was in the 11th Battalion and Mick claimed me. I went over there.
During the war, Auntie Mary had a significant role to play, and that remained right through till Granddad's death. She was the carer at home. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Auntie Mary and what she did while the war was going on?
Well, as I've spoken before, Mum was very delicate, and I think Auntie Mary, from the very time that the others started to come along, she would have been a little mother there, and she certainly took over the role when she left school. She had to leave school when she was 14. And then the war came, and Tom was too young to join up. The rest of them were away. And it was she who sort of kept the morale, I suppose, up. She would write, she'd have 4 pieces of carbon paper, and she'd write all the letters to us, and then she'd like put our D, and then she'd sign them, and then she'd just put a little bit at the end. So I'd say that she there was really instrumental in keeping us all kind of in contact with each other. And then even after the war, then she took on the role of looking after Dad. And it was really a complete life of self-sacrifice. See, I was on the end of the pecking order, and she would be up there doing all the work, and I'd be scooting around playing everything. I was allowed to play football and cricket with these fellows, so long as I could fox the ball, you know. But she'd be inside helping all the life. She really did dedicate her life to helping others the whole time. So during the war, she certainly kept us together. I want to say something too about this one's about. One thing I want to say too, with all due respect, I hope you will realise we have a niece here who's came from Sydney to be at this reunion. So I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Anne has really come over to Sydney. Here's a bit of a joke about Mick. Last time we were with Pat, Joan used to come with me, and I was saying to Joan, now Mick was always the careful one, and he was too. He was a solid sort of a fellow, and I said, you can always borrow sixpence from Mick. And Pat started to roar laughing, and he spluttered out, yeah, we charge interest too.
Well, my memory goes back to when Jack was playing, which was in the mid-30s till he joined up. He was pretty active and a very good fullback. He played a lot of, represented the local league in their inter-league games in various areas. Used to play fairly ruggedly. I can remember when he came back, as Grant said about during the war, he pulled on the Guernsey with the Imperials, and he was a very fit bloke. And there were a few of these tough timber workers around, and he certainly, I remember, gave them something to go on with, because a lot of these tough timber workers who couldn't go to the war because they were manpowered used to give the young blokes a pretty hard time, and Jack used to straighten them out of it with a few physical exertions. But then Mick was probably the best footballer in the family. I think he would have played, I think he was offered to play league football at least for Mantle. He was outstanding fullback, must have run in the family. He was also chosen in the state team, not a state team, the Southwest team, to play Collingwood, I think it was, in Bunbury at one stage of the game. He was the kind of bloke that would never stop. He was probably one of the cleanest blokes in the game, but by God, could dare anyone get in his road, because he had a pair of hips and shoulders that could just push anyone right, not push them, send them well and truly on his way. Very, very popular player, and was sadly broke a collarbone, which forced him out of the game. As Grant said, Pat, I think in the eulogy that Jeff Smith gave on Pat, he mentioned the fact that Pat was known as the Grecian goddess, the way he used to mark the football. He had a terrific aerial ability. Jim and I played during the war because I was only young, hadn't gone away, and I was never in any way British. Jim, as I said, was a bouncy umpire. I became a I always followed the league. I was president of the Football League for a couple of years in 1980.
before. I was playing in a team on the Wednesday afternoon in Darwin, and the umpire, there was a chap here, Sergeant Smith. He was running away from me, and I was that person who wanted to flick his ankle like that. He was like a torpedo. That following Saturday, he was umpiring a game. It was a big game with the big kids, and there was a lot of money on it. And Len Beresford, who finished up playing for Subiaco, was the captain. He went up to this Roy Smith, and he says, listen, he says, why don't you give O'Sullivan a go? He says, you're crucifying. If he gets within 20 yards of the ball, you'll give a free kick against him. And the umpire says, you should have seen what the mongrel done to me last Wednesday.
We had football breakfast, dinner and tea. We were very proud of Jack and Mick, the way they played. They were excellent. I remember the story goes about, this is blowing our back again, of course, about Mick. Someone was talking about Mick and what a fine footballer he was and what a fine fellow he was. And someone said, you know, you never hear him skiting. And the other one said, he doesn't have to, the family does it for him.
With Granddad's birthday, which was the 10th of May. Now, as many of us would know, the brothers in particular used to make a pilgrimage every birthday. I think it was for over 10 years. They would pack up and come down to spend the weekend with Grandad on his birthday. Probably of significance is that it generally coincided with Mother's Day, and they still went, which shows enormous bravery. But Uncle Jim, I believe that you're in charge in the early part of this hiring an old car, a real old bomb. You go to the trouble of getting a real old wreck, a Ford or something, and you'd all jump in this and come down to Manjimup for Grandad's birthday. Can you tell us anything about that?
Marshall Graham had a used cars dealer in Victoria Park. I was stationed in Victoria Park for a number of years. I got to know Marshall pretty well. So I borrowed this big V8, and it had more rattles than the Millionaire's Baby. So we set off there, well fortified, and it used more oil than petrol. And we filled it up with oil and petrol down the track. And this Bowser Lieutenant says, does she use much oil, mate? I says, she would if she could get it.
All I remember hearing about is that they were down at the hotel, these 5 boys and Dad, and someone said, what's going on over there? And someone said, oh, that's the old man and his 5 sons. And the fellow said, well, which is the old man?
Now, there's a few stories. I know my dad's told me a story that apparently Grandad would get you all there, take you to the pub on the night you got there and stand at the bar and say, right, anyone wants to take me on? Now's your chance. You'd be surrounded by 5 blokes all around 6 foot. But there was one particular incident where there was a rollover, I believe, and there were 2 policemen in the vehicle. Dad, what's the story? It was your car, is that right?
I don't know who's been talking to you and giving you sorts of stories like this, but we always went down to Dad's birthday for 10 years. It didn't matter where we were, what part of the state, we always met and went down. Jim provided the car from some of his friends in Victoria Park. Today I was in the Morris Minor and we were went down to Manjimup, and not being a very good driver, we got near Palgo and I turned the car over, going around the corner.
It would be remiss if I didn't mention our sister Mary, who was a living son. I mentioned Pat and Mick, my brothers who we dearly loved. Would you be good enough to stand up? I want to recite the ode, and I say this particularly for the young ones here tonight. Listen and pay attention to it, please. There is a moral to this to it. They shall grow not old, as we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them. lest we forget.
Lest we forget.